Thank you so much for inviting. Thanks so much for calling me a rock star. I love the national brand. I'm from Burgos, for anyone that doesn't know it, so I'm very proud to be bringing LegalTech to the world. I think I'm going to be, I've been listening to several talks today, and I think I'm going to be bursting the bubble a bit, especially for some lawyers and some legal tech vendors. So I think I'm going to become an enemy of everyone in this room. Sorry for that. How many of you, with how many words, okay, no, better said, 3 words to describe legal profession. Who wants to give it a try? Trust, okay. Okay, good, fair. Knowledge, okay. Would you say that precision, justification, and a clear chain of reasoning make sense to describe the legal world? Makes sense, okay. Now let's change into the other side, because it's actually called vibe meets verdict. So let's go into vibe coding. 3 words to describe vibe coding. Which ones would you use?
Fast.
Fast, good. Good. What else? Could we agree that, for example, disposable makes sense? Low risk, but again, low accountability makes sense? Okay, so if we take those 3 words, those other 3 words, does that make sense? Of course not. So why are we even speaking about vibe coding in law? So that's basically why I'm saying I'm a bit of bursting the bubble for all of you, because I think for us it's really important to not forget we are in the legal sector. Yes, vibe coding is there. Yes, our legal tech providers are using vibe coding, but still, we need to keep things right, because for us, as lawyers, don't forget we are legal professionals. As lawyers, precision, certainty, and transparency always need to go beyond speed and workability would be the 2 main characteristics to define the vibe coding phenomenon that we are living now. And actually, I think the law environment has been disrupted through so many changes in the previous years, but especially now with vibe coding, we are a bit afraid. And I was just talking to a couple of people in here in the audience. We are a bit afraid of this. And why are we afraid of this? Because, to be honest, I think at some point we have got to an unconscious competence of using AI because it's easy, it's just at our fingertips, and we have gotten used to that easy, accessible response. So whenever you are having that easiness into getting responses, why would you even check? But then the thing is that, again, we are legal professionals, so without a clear chain of reasoning, we can't really be providing a good response. I think it's also interesting, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of cognitive offloading. I think it's like a bit too genius to be speaking about this, but you might remember the Google effect. Everyone was speaking about the Google effect. What happened with Google? That people didn't think they should remember about concepts they easily could search online, because it's like, why should I remember if I can just type it? So the Google effect is what they call the cognitive offloading. So what is happening now is that researchers in many different, I've been reading lots of papers, but one of the ones that I like the most is one about the MIT. So it's actually technicians doing this research, and they found out, they put in the same room 2 groups of people, one's using generative AI and the other's not using it. And after thousands and thousands of tests, what they realized is that not only the group of people that were using AI were underperforming compared to their colleagues in terms of, they weren't really going into the root of what they were saying, but also in terms of language, because they were not even worried about grammar. They were assuming that the Gen AI will do that for them. So it's kind of, we're going back to the very, very basics, and honestly, we can't afford that to happen. Also, I think one of the interesting things about this is that now, if you are using advanced models of Gen AI, you might see that those are including what they call the chain of thought, which honestly is super useful. I don't know if you're doing this, if you're working at a law firm, or if you're advising law professionals, but sometimes it's even more helpful to review the chain of thought that the AI has used in order to consider if the output it has given is good or bad, rather than actually checking the output itself. Because sometimes when you check the output, it looks good. And if you're not a super expert in that field, maybe it might look 100% good. But if you check, for example, your chain of thought and you see it has taken a source that is not reliable, then you say, this is not as good. What's happening now, and actually OpenAI has done a research on this, and it's actually a bit against themselves, but they have been brave enough to publish it. What they are saying is that it is possible to train your models even to misbehave when telling you the chain of thought that those have used. So even if you're saying, oh, no, I trust the chain of thought because these sources seem okay, maybe it's playing around with you, and it's telling you that it's used some sources that it knows you rely on, but it hasn't. So I don't have a solution for this, to be fair. This is just food for thought for everyone. But I think we are getting to a point where we can no longer allow ourselves to keep following this path in terms of, if it works, if it's fast, and if it seems good, then it's good. Because for us, it's not only about reliability, it's also about transparency. So what's going to happen when a lawyer that is giving an advice, and I'm so sorry because Alberto just left, so I don't feel good about speaking bad about a company when a representative of that company is not here to challenge that, but all of you might have heard what happened with the Deloitte report and the Albanese government, that basically they had to give half of the money back because there were certain aspects that it was proven that the AI was malfunctioning. And what I like about the Albanese government is that they were saying, this is not an artificial intelligence problem. This is a human intelligence problem. So the thing is that we cannot permit ourselves as legal professionals to get to a point where we just let it go and we say, if it looks fine, it's going to be fine. So what's my suggestion to some extent in here? It's not a recommendation or whatever you wanna understand it as such. What we need to do is, first, as legal professionals, and sorry, I'm going to speak about risk first, because we are very risk averse, but risk is there. So you can see in this case, for example, our liability is changing. I mean, traditionally, we were, as lawyers, we could be liable because of lack of analysis, because of bad communication, or because lack of good research or proper databases. Now we are going beyond. It's like, are we as legal professionals going to blame the AI for doing something wrong? Do you think a client is going to say, oh, no, that's fine, they are blaming the AI, so let's go and sue the AI company? No, they hired you. They don't care who you are using, what tool you're using. It's the same as if you were saying, oh, no, it's been the junior, sorry. I mean, we took him, it's not very good, but we are paying him very, very low salary, so that's why. So, we really need to be confident about what we can say, and we need to be responsible of what we are doing. So I think in terms of liability, be careful. This could end up being a huge, huge problem for you, reputationally, and many other problems. So that's my first thing. I would say for legal tech providers, also, please don't use vibe coding for everything. Please don't do that. I mean, we need to be transparent in how we are training our models. Why? Because actually, we as end users might be asking, hey, what have you done? And if we are not confident about that tool being trustworthy, we're not going to buy it. So honestly, if you're using vibe coding, I think you're going to have a very short-term business in the legal sector. So don't do it. A second recommendation would be maybe include in your own models or in your own tools a way to make us think. Because critical thinking is, I would say, is part of human nature, and it's good that we don't lose it, but especially as legal professionals, critical thinking, I think it's key. So if you end up, because as Francesc was saying, long hours, we all know that at 3 a.m. you're not very much into, I'm not really sure if this response is going to be good or wrong. But if you were using a tool that was actually challenging you, and the tool was actually giving you more, I would say, questions for you to think about, like, okay, this response seems good, but have you thought about this, this, and this? So make your tools challenge us as end users, because that's the only way. First, your tools are going to get improved, and then, second, we are going to keep that professionalism. And another for, I would say, legal professionals, don't forget, we need to be transparent, not only in how we are actually delivering our services and trusting the whole chain of thought, but also be transparent in you are using AI, be transparent. It's okay. I mean, we got to a point, in Clifford Chance, we've been using Gen AI since January 2023. So also speaking about numbers, I don't know who was saying that, oh, I think it was John maybe, was saying we are not adopting it very well. I'm happy to disagree, because at Clifford Chance Spain, we have 94% of adoption, which I think is pretty good. So that's the point. I mean, if we are having 94% of adoption, we need to be transparent about saying that to our clients. We need to tell them we are using this tool for them to, one, decide if they want it or not, and second, if they trust the tool enough in order not to end up challenging our assessment or our advice just because they don't trust the AI. So this is a new, I would say, whole picture in front of us. I'm not trying to, for you to be scared, but to be fair, if you take what we were saying, if you take Vive coding and if you take the Vive against the real verdicts that we as legal professionals need to rely on, it's just about understanding AI in a different way, not as the easy tool that we do have at our fingertips, but as something that can really elevate the quality of our advice without forgetting that this is a human intelligence world, this is a human intelligence industry, and this is a human-to-human industry. So we can't afford that to disappear and our critical thinking to disappear. That's it. Thank you.